Okay, so we have some new updates for the goRIA.com website. I'm still catching up on our On Location series from 2025. We're up to, I think, October of 2025. So we're almost current with the goal of being current at the end of this coming month. So let me share my screen real quick with everyone. Hold on, like so. And as I like to do, I'm going to take you right to www.goria.com and I'll show you what we have. All right, so this here, it kind of defaults to the podcast page, but there's some new ones there as well. But I'm talking here about our on location. So the most recent one now is from when I was attending the summit, right, done by Stephen and Matthew Jarvis. It was out in Tempe, Arizona. Very tax focused, practice management focused. It's a great conference. I know they're one of Kitz's picks. I think they have been now for a few years, and I can certainly see why. So if you go to the goRIA website, which again, goRIA.com, go to On Location, and you'll see it's teed up here. So this was, yeah, October of last year. So I'm getting kind of current. But let me walk you through real quick what you'll see here. So the first one, we started off with Matthew Jarvis, and I've had Matthew on goRIA a few times now. And one of our favorite topics we touched upon here, which is what is your true net payout? And spoiler alert, it's not 92%. And that, of course, is directed to some type of IBD advisor, as I was for probably 20 years with Raymond James. Nothing but great things to say about Raymond James. But of course, your 92% payout or whatever your nominal stated is probably not your true net payout. So this is a great segment there. And let's see, next up we have, I spoke with Shelby Nickel, who again has been a repeat guest. And we had a really interesting conversation. This was, again, this is going back a few months. We're getting caught up, but we had a great discussion about OpenArc leaving Merrill Lynch. Obviously, huge news. Over $100 billion shop, leaving a wirehouse and setting up their own RIA. And what does that mean for the RIA space? You might have some thoughts on where this conversation led, but it had a couple of interesting twists. So this is a good one too with Shelby Nickel. Then I had a chance to speak with Scott Danner, who you will know is the head of legacy, great title, over at Stewart Partners. And we talked about what your next or perhaps final chapter might look like as a financial advisor. So succession planning, next generation planning, something that's frankly top of mind. As you know, if you've been following this channel for a while, I've been talking about those types of topics a lot, and Scott does a great job on hitting those. Okay, then we have Amy Kleiser, who you will see there is a managing partner with Talent Link. And she brought up something interesting. A lot of RIAs or a lot of advisors, when they're first going RIA, think about a lot of things. And there's a lot to be thought of, compliance, technology, so on and so forth. But she said, don't forget about HR, right? And especially as you're growing, something that most advisors that were in the BD setting, or even to some degree the IBD setting, don't really have a whole lot of experience with hiring staff and what that means. And there are some things that you don't want to get yourself jammed up on. So she does a nice job in covering that. Okay. Then we had Justin Waller. This was a really great conversation. He is the founder of Waller Financial. And we talked about, and I do like to be very even-handed here, which is when leaving your IBD makes sense and when it does not. And he had some really interesting points. And, as pro RIA as I clearly am, there are some reasons perhaps where you would not want to do that. And I think we uncover that quite nicely in this segment. And again, these are relatively short formats, usually 6 to 8 minutes. So you get a real sense of the topic pretty quickly. Okay, let's see. Sarah Brenner, yes, who is an IRA analyst with Ed Slott. And we talked here about how you can best leverage thought leaders like Ed Slott to improve your overall advisory services. Again, that's not specifically necessarily just in the RIA space, but as I do like to say, oftentimes in the RIA space, you can implement systems and programs and marketing and webinars with a little bit more ease, perhaps, than you can have in the BD space. All right, and that brings us to Finn Price, I should say, who's the owner of Railroad Investment Group. Had a great conversation here and sort of a similar idea, not so much if, but more when, right? So what is the right time to go RIA? What do you want to have in order before you make that leap? And then also, I recall from this conversation, he's done a great job in integrating tax planning into his organization. And actually, at this particular summit, they really do a great job in talking about exactly that, how to integrate tax planning into your practice. And I believe that's becoming more and more of a necessity. Okay. And then last but not least, we usually do about 8 of these segments per on location. We wrap up, of course, with Stephen Jarvis. And he is the head CPA of Retirement Tax Services. And we talked about everything that was going on in this conference. This is a really good recap of the conference. And I'm almost certainly going to be covering this again this coming fall. So if you want to get a sense for how good these conferences are, this is a great recap here to listen to that Stephen did. And frankly, I love covering these conferences, and especially covering ones that I'm getting a lot of value out of myself as an advisor. And I will say, I could clearly see why this particular conference, the summit, was ranked as one of the top by Michael Kitces. Okay, so that is all that I have to share with you today, as I like to do on these Wednesday afternoons. So go check it out, and I will be back next Wednesday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time with what is then new on goRIA. Thanks for joining me.